Tricky mate. Hello? What the heck is that? Oh my god. I almost made it. Oh my goodness. This is really unbelievable.
Hello everyone and welcome to Take It to the Max show with Grandmaster Max Dlugy. And I'm playing the 5-minute pool against everyone who is around to play me. And we'll see how it goes today. Of course, what else is going on in the world of chess? Lots of cool tournaments coming up. Dortmund and Bilbao. Of course, the National Open is going on in Vegas with Rufeng Li leading alone 4 out of 4. Playing Gada Kamsky right now, fighting for first. And the World Open is coming up next weekend, next Thursday, I believe it starts. So lots of cool chess going on in this hot weather in New York, at least where I am. Meanwhile, let's see what happens here. And let's see how this pans out here. It's my opponent Gaudi from Barcelona, perhaps, well, actually from the United States, has taken up the gauntlet and starting with a good solid move, e5. Excellent, nicely done. Gaudi down in exchange. Wow, well, I guess there's a little bit for everyone here, something to learn. nice, lovely play from Gaudi. Okay, let's see how that pans out. Well, I'm very delighted to see all kinds of nice little experiments, actually, and I always deal with them by putting my pieces in the center. That's how I deal with experiments. Very happy to see them, by the way. Now I'm going to play queen d7 so that white doesn't actually castle. I wouldn't want that to ruin our relationship. I can see white has played this numerous times and doesn't mind being down material, and that's fine. Let's see. Well, now he's going to castle by hand, actually. I'm going to play f5 to open up the position and meet my ongoing troubles that way, hopefully. Okay, and that's fine. If maybe I should play f5 myself. Maybe I should play f6 for now. I'm gonna take on f4 and then play f5. That's how I'm gonna deal with that. I don't mind losing the d pawn. Obviously white has invested a lot into that idea. Okay, now maybe put the knight on e5. Solid knight on e5. Now pawn goes to c5. Okay, that's all very solid and nice. Black really is playing like he knows this stuff, like he knows his stuff. Okay, that's fine. I'm taking my time, but really I don't see the compensation yet, so I'm just gonna take over the whole board eventually and enjoy myself. Up in exchange. a6 and b5 come to mind to take more space. Okay, time to do it. And b5, there you go. No problem there. And then I'll play rook a8 to check out how that knight's feeling on a3. And well, that has to be dealt with first, obviously. Maybe f6. f6 looks tight enough. Bishop f7 could be coming. Nothing else. Asking if that knight wants to exchange itself. It does. That's fine. No problem there. One less piece to worry about. Bishop h6 doesn't work. h4, the bishop is coming, obviously. Okay, well, let's improve our pawn structure so there's no real weaknesses. Using the check on g4 as a ploy. Well, actually, I really meant it as a ploy. So anyway, didn't work out. Well, there's not much to say about this game except that white misplayed the opening, I have to say. This is not a very good plan to give away material, because, you know, the pawns, the 5 pawns that were given for the rook by our earliest coaches and earliest books, they're actually about right. And I didn't really need to do much. Now, I didn't try to blast through with e4, d4. I just played normal chess. And finally, really what happened was I just wanted to solidify my advantage. So now I took control of the e5 pawn, brought back the knight, and I was going to play rook a8 and then double in the a file and break through there. Here I fight the bishop, but the knight is so strong. And now after this, g6, of course the idea was that if queen takes h6, knight g4 check, and of course I had in mind that white will go back, and I would play h5, bishop h3, and rook somewhere here. And again, there are no weaknesses, no serious weaknesses in my position, so I can go rook a8 and start hunting down this knight, and if the knight moves, come here and hunt down this a file. Really didn't see what white could offer against that plan, but my opponent simply blundered the queen, and that happens when you're having so much fun that you're not really looking. Okay, Nefertem, e4, c5, Sicilian defense. And let's see which line white plays. Okay, it's the open Sicilian. Let's see. Okay, the Richter Rouser, my favorite. Okay, a6, h6 variation, and the main line. Excellent, excellent. I love that. Bishop e2 versus queen e3. That's a little bit weird, but maybe not bad. Can I punish it somehow? Maybe not. Okay, I'm gonna play same bishop b4 move and same castles. Don't see how to punish that immediately, so now the main move for white is e5. Actually, this one I looked at, I think knight d5 is fine here, and although pawn takes pawn is also fine. Almost any recapture is okay, but I actually analyzed this and thought this was just fine for black. A bit of a novel idea, I have to say, because I don't believe this was played before. And now e takes d5 to open up my rook. Okay, here I think queen f6 is fine. Okay, and then we trade queens. It should be okay here. I think this ending is just about equal, but maybe a little bit trickier for white to play than for black. Yeah, for example here, what if I play rook e8, takes, and then yeah, then I may be a little bit better already, right? I could have played bishop c5, but I think I like this. Mm-hmm. And let's get rid of our pawn weaknesses. Okay, good question. F6 looks plausible. Some good pawns in the center. Probably that's how I should play it. And let's bring our king out. If white takes, I'll have a nice pawn center, and that's something. Okay, here probably should play g4 so I can go rook h5 if he doesn't take. Well, interesting. Still rook h5 looks good, but now I can take on e3, creating that weak pawn. Tempting. All this stuff is tempting. I'm going for this one. And of course I have to defend. For now. Okay, bishop a6 for example. Now the h-pawn is kind of lost, I think, for white, so he has to resort to some sort of tactics, right? Yeah, like this is not a very tactical position, and white immediately resigns because bishop takes rook is obviously the next move. So let's take a look at what happened. Okay, so first of all, this is a very theoretical position. This, I would say, is the main line of the Richter-Rauser. Bishop e2 is a slightly strange move. Queen e3 is mostly played, but maybe queen a5. Maybe there's something with queen a5. Okay, didn't get to it. I'm playing the contrast, so I'm gonna have to be careful here. And of course the London. And let's go, guys. c4. Well, queen takes. Alright, and let's say we play a3 for now, so that there's no bishop b4 check. And knight h3. I like this move to defend and develop at the same time. And now we can bring the bishop out. Bring the knight out and castle up. Well, I think that is a nice opening start for white. Aha. Well, that has to be taken. Let's first go rook d1 to take the d-file a little bit. Just a little bit. Now let's think about where the bishop belongs. Is it e2 or is it b3? Well, if on bishop b3 there's a5 maybe, so I'll put it on e2 for now and bring out the queen to party, so black can't just take the d-file by exchanging. Aha, knight g6, cool move. Okay, let's take this and bring the queen to c5. Let's try to see if I can prove a slight advantage for white. Maybe this double pawn is actually going to be something. Okay, now he's ready to trade on the d-file twice, right? So I should also be ready. So let's do it. Of course. Okay, let's keep the d-file in our possession for now. Okay. Okay, certainly the ending. And let's take some. Okay, c5 is coming, so I don't want c5 to come, so let's play bishop g4 first. And bring the king out. And again. And again. Okay, now okay, now let's see if we can go bishop f3 to point out some potential problems and some potential endings. I don't know. g3 and e4 next. e4 is coming. There it is. e5 is coming. Takes the pawn is coming. King c4 is coming. And now if we attack the pawn, the knight that is, we should be able to win the pawn, right? But if we attack it on g4, then there won't be any knight e2 coming up, so there will be really pawn up, a nice fat pawn up. And I think my opponent just resigned, if I'm not mistaken, which is nice, because first of all I can start the next game and we can go into figuring out what the hell happened here. So first of all, black kind of gave away the knight, the queen, but there's no check on b4 or really a5, because on queen a, and black could try e5 I suppose, but I can just take and uncheck, and it's not such a big deal. My king can move, and I'm threatening this. And what's the big deal? I'll kick this bishop away, then I'll go bishop d3, knight f3, king e2. No real problem. So, not really clear. But okay, I took, and then I played a3. Okay, well, and then I got the bishop against the knight ending, and proved that the bishop is actually sometimes stronger than the knight. Okay, maybe time for Scandinavian. A little bit too many Sicilians these days. Okay, a little Scandinavian action here. My favorite, queen to d6. Let's just prepare the troops for the good times. And there goes my bishop, pinning that knight. And knight d7. Now I'm safe. Castles. Knight f6, okay. Now the knight doesn't go to e4 and g3. Probably white will play h3. They usually do for some reason. Although it's not quite necessary, but it is possible. And by the way, I have this beautiful coconut water, which coconut is actually very good for you. Sponsored by the Coconut Association of the United States. Just kidding. Just my wife made me a nice coconut, so I get to drink some coconut while playing chess. Isn't that sweet? It is a little sweet actually, the coconut juice. I'm cocoa for coconut actually. Okay, this move is a reasonable move, but it doesn't just lose a pawn. Hold on one sec. Let me just check this out. Rob 1, 2, 3, 4. I just robbed you of a pawn, and there it is. Sweet pawn. Okay, now the queen can run away to a nice little square on f5. What does white have for the pawn? Let's check it out. Okay, he's getting feisty. He probably wants to go g5 as well. So if I go queen g6, he'll probably play f4. And he'll be right, actually. But if I go queen a5, he'll play g5, knight d5, knight takes d5, c takes d5. Not that scary, actually. So I'll go queen a5, in fact. I could have just played queen c7, I suppose. Okay, now knight d5. And maybe just e6, no? There's c4. How does that trouble me? Knight b6. I don't see it yet. I don't see the real problem, so I'm gonna go for it. If I finish development, I'll be in good shape. Queen can go to f5. Knight's defending d7, so there's no mate if white goes queen d3, something like that. Okay, here it's a race to get the bishops out. Okay, I can't play bishop a3, it's a little dangerous. But if I castle, bishop e7 and castle, knight f6 check. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. Don't quite see the win here for white. On knight f6 I can just king h8 for now. I can play king h8, and then when the king's on h8 I will be threatening to take on f6. Meanwhile, bishop a3 will kind of try to get rid of that strong bishop. And otherwise I can play rook fd8, and then I'll have many different ways of defending my king. Also, I can defend h7 from f5 with the queen, so there's really not that much to worry about, I think, although maybe I'm wrong. Knight f6 also takes control out of the g5 pawn, so then g5 will be hanging. So I don't know. I don't see it. I don't quite see it. But there could be some interesting options for white. Let's say c5 somewhere in there, and then on knight d5, I don't know, rook takes d5, knight f6. No, still doesn't work, so I don't see it. What I do see is that I'm up a couple of minutes here. a4, that's great. My queen's going to f5 most likely. Oh, then he wants to play a5 after that, so probably play first rook fd8. Wait, g5 is hanging. G5 is hanging. Bishop g5. I'm going to take that. I think that's a nice pawn, because that pawn is part of the problem here. Oops, did I blunder that? I did blunder that. That is bad. Ay, 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 ay. That is really bad. Okay, now I gotta survive somehow. Knight d5, knight g5, queen c5, queen e5. Oops. Can't do that, so I gotta move my bishop. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now what can I do? I gotta survive. Blunders are blunders, and that was a big one. Okay, now I somehow have to undermine these pawns. Okay, let's get the rook up. It's gonna get bit. This is gonna be tough. I can feel it already. All right, let's do it. Damn. He's tough, this guy. He's playing tough. Okay. I think I'm getting some chances here finally. Beautiful move. Beautiful move. 29 seconds. Very tough to see what's gonna happen. I'm trying to get tricky. Here I am getting tricky. Okay, now I think I got pretty tricky that I'm not losing at least. Okay. I'm not losing at the very least, I would say. Oh my god. Ho ho ho. Well, queen. Bishop a7, bishop b6, takes queen. That's a draw. Okay, I better queen this one and try to do something nice like check. Sorry guys, sorry everybody, I made it. Wow, Dlugy strikes again. Okay, well, that was not a good game, and it all happened here. Where did it happen? I think it maybe happened here. I think maybe queen c7 was just best. Just simply e6, bishop e7 after that. Venturing out was dangerous. And then this was, I think, the best. That maybe even knight takes knight was good, but this was the moment of truth when I played this. I think my first reaction was to play queen f5, but I didn't like a5 and then like rook d7, something like that. But then of course I could have taken on h3. Okay, anyway, Mr. Boris is with us here, and he's a serious dude. Mr. Boris, we've played before obviously, so I gotta get my sip of coconut juice to get myself all into it, into my beautiful London. Alright, take that, Boris, or Mr. Boris rather. Alright, and let's pin you up. I am a pawn up, thank you very much. I'm still a pawn up. Still a pawn up, counting. Still up a pawn. Alright. Knight d7, that's a new one actually. I've not encountered that one. Okay, I'm gonna take this knight and play knight d2. I don't know if that's the best, but that looks reasonable to me. Bishop back. Interesting, knight d7. No one's ever played that. Bishop d7 was played before. Good idea, I think. h3 or h4? h4, h3, h3. Black is taking space all over the board. Very smart. Very smart, but I'm still up a pawn. It doesn't solve the material issue yet. Okay. I understand knight c5 is a possibility. I see that very well. You have to believe me. But I'm also able to defend myself, hopefully. First of all, even if I just take bishop h3, g3, it's not that clear that I'm badly off. But f4, ef, and then pawn takes knight. Okay, I'm gonna just do this. What? Just that? Well, then just this. Rook f2 and queen c1. Every move has to be very, very tempo based. Otherwise there could be big problems. Black's pieces have to protect and attack at the same time. f5 is in the air and c6 is weak. So f5 is an interesting idea. Rook f followed by bishop f5, rook f5, and queen takes c6. So black really has to be very, very alert. Plus I am a piece up. I could just play king h1 next move and force everybody back. Yeah, but f5 is the interesting idea here. Or you know what, maybe just pawn takes pawn, because that would threaten knight f4. So pawn takes pawn or f5. Let's see, f5, bishop f5, rook f5, queen f5, queen c6, king e7, and not so clear. Okay, so I'm gonna just take the pawn now, threatening knight f4, of course. Okay, only one pawn for the piece. Good for me. It looks like. Now, what should I do here? Queen a3 looks interesting to stop black from castling. But what else? Knight f4, g5. In black castles, I can just bring my knight to f3. Also not that dangerous, but still something. How do I bring the knight to f3 though? Queen a3. What is it? Was queen a3? Queen e4. Bishop f4. I don't know. Queen a3, c3, c5. Then knight f4. Okay, let's do this. This looks a little bit annoying for black. Pinning and stopping the casting. So it looks like a double duty move to me. And I can play knight d2 now, since I protected the e pawn. My pieces will serve as my pawns to shield my king. And now knight f1 probably. Knight f1, bishop h3, rook f2, bishop f1, rook f1, queen e3. And so knight f4 do I have to play? Knight d4. Okay, tough position. Kind of tough. Yeah, now I thought I'll improve my knight. This way I'm more defended than I was before. Okay, this one I can defend. Okay, I can check now finally. Check on rook e2. Rook f2 maybe. Rook f2 or rook e2? Rook f2 maybe. Yeah, rook f2 looks interesting. Thinking about knight g5. Okay, now rook e1, just to attack myself. And now should play e6, so just king h1 for now. And now knight d4 maybe. Knight e3, knight e6. What is going on? How did I break through here? Queen c6 maybe, yeah? Queen c6, queen e6. Okay, I better move my pieces. Maybe the best deal I have is just to flag my opponent. It's probably the best deal I have right now. Yeah. Tough game though, because it got really tough. Okay, I mean, I think black played very well, and so it's very unclear. Not sure if this was the right decision, but okay, having made this decision, the position evolved quite interestingly. And of course this was an important decision for both sides, because when I played f4, my idea was that on pawn takes pawn, I would take the knight, so that on bishop takes h3 I would have knight f4. That was my idea. So but black just played queen g6 and then I takes rook f2, bishop c5. Looks cool, but okay, now I hit the bishop, and the bishop seemed like it had to move to b6 maybe. Then I would play queen I don't know, maybe b6 was a better square, because actually here the bishop came back, and then I played this nice move, I thought, queen a3, which basically created a very complicated position, h3, and now knight d2, which was the real point of what I did, hg, rook g2, queen h6. Now I played knight d4, which I thought was good to provoke c5, and then to go with my knight to back to f3. It was possible to maybe play e6 here, actually. e6, the idea that if bishop takes, then knight b5, and if pawn takes, then the king is a little weaker, and then after knight f3, if black castles, I can go after this weakened king kind of thing. But anyway, I didn't play e6, I just played knight f3, bishop h3, and it got very complicated. King f8, rook f2, queen e3, maybe even c4 was possible, I don't know. A super complicated position has just arrived. Rook e1, queen h6, king h1. I don't know what's going on, completely unclear. c4, knight d4, and I don't know, everything's hanging. Queen h4 looks like a very interesting move that hits roughly everything. Black played bishop e6, knight f3, king g8, rook g2, and he flagged in this position. How could the position continue? I have no idea. Probably, let's say, bishop h3, rook g3, bishop, let's say, and then I would play rook g1, rook h6, and so forth. Very complicated stuff. Anyway, I won on time because I was faster in these complications, and that's one way that you win in blitz. In fact, one of the major ways you win in blitz is by being a little faster. Alright, well, here we are, c6. Let's go queen a5 and back to our coconut juice. The sponsor, the coconut trees out there, are very happy I'm drinking that coconut juice. Alright, well, this is the main line, in fact, after queen a5, so nothing curious about knight c1. It's a good way to transfer the knight to the center. But the queen is kind of perky on h5, so I won a nice game against Nikita Vityugov at the let's see, should I take? Yeah, I should take. At the World Rapid Championships last year in Berlin. In fact, he played g3 instead of bishop f2, but black is getting good counterplay here in either case. Tough question, how to defend the... well, that's one way, that's for sure. Should I play... yes, I should play bishop e6, I think, simply. The king move shows that not everything is good in white's position. Of course, no trades now that the king is unsafe. And off we go. Attacking the c pawn, already problems. b3, knight takes e4, I notice. And how else to defend the c pawn? Some ugly move like knight b1. Very ugly, because after queen c7, b3, knight takes e4 still wins. Tough. King f1 is not a way to solve opening positions. White realizes he can't defend the pawn, although knight b1, knight a3 was kind of curiously survivable, perhaps. Okay, now if I just play knight d7, should I just be very happy with that, or just first get everybody on the c file? Okay, now if I play knight d7, knight d5, and just exchange everybody, right? Simplicity itself, right? Knight d7, and just exchange into a pawn up ending. Okay, so white decides to sack another pawn, which I will accept, I have to tell you, but unless b5 is even stronger. Okay, I'm taking it. It's a pawn. Okay. It's a big fat pawn that's called the outside pass pawn, and there's nothing that bishop can do that my pawns can't stop. So I'm going to take with the rook, because queen c3, obviously there's going to be rook c1, and I'll be 2 pawns up. That's the way I'm playing this position. Okay, this one I can defend with the pawn simply by playing b6. That stops. Actually, knight c5 looks cool too, but okay, I'm going to play b6, I think. That stops both the b and the a pawns under attacks. On bishop d2, of course, I have queen c5 check, so that I'm not worried about that. Of course, here I even have queen takes a2 added to my defensive possibilities. Not a happy position for white, I gotta say. Okay, and now after rook a3, white has to trade, right? And then it's even worse. Things are just getting worse and worse for white. Yeah, and that was admitted by white. Okay, we have a grandmaster on board against us. Let's try another King's Indian. That one worked quite nicely. Bishop g5. Okay, normally I should play d5 here, but I'm just gonna castle. And now I'll just play d6. Okay. And now what should I play? This is interesting. Knight c6 probably. h6 first. Should I play e5 now? Probably e5, right? Maybe bishop f5. No, e5. I like e5. And knight e7. Knight f5. How nice to grab a bishop. I think I should have played e4 instead. Okay. Well, the bishop does belong on g7, but perhaps the queen belongs on e7, so I'm gonna, well, actually queen e7, there's something with that knight. Okay, move the queen away. The knight still has squares. Okay, this one goes to stop whatever white's planning there on the queen side, obviously. Rook c1 is clearly moved, destined for the queen side, so it's gonna be stopped. After I stop white's queen side ideas, I want to play h5, h4 maybe. Something to do with the king side for sure. Well, knight h4, that makes it easy. Definitely go for the bishops if I can. Alright then. Now on f5, there's if I play g5, then white plays e4. And f5. Interesting. Ha ha ha. A bit of a tricky move here. Okay, I'm back. Okay, now I'm gonna play h5. I think white managed to prove that it wouldn't be optimal for me to stay with the knight on h4. That's okay. Now my knight goes to h6 and I play for f5. There we go. That bishop is out of commission on b1. Nicely put. Nicely placed. Okay. Let's develop our pieces. Stop the queenside attack. And then now he wants to play bishop a4. So I'm going to play rook d8. So on bishop a4 I have bishop c8. That's why I didn't play rook e8. Okay, now he's going. Okay, now I'm going up. I'm moving my stuff. Yep. Here goes. Yep. I'm moving it in. Hopefully. Alright, let's continue moving stuff in towards white's king. The knight is hanging on c3. Something has to be done about that. Okay, bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, bishop takes knight, queen, bishop e6 check. That's the idea. If I take on c3 first, then that's not gonna work. So let me take this one. take this one and take this one. Did I misplay this a bit? Maybe I did. Okay, now let me grab this one here. And take this here. Up a pawn. All of that for a measly pawn, you would think, right? But actually, it's two connected passed pawns on the queen side. That's the key. Okay, now it's time to be very exact. Time to be extremely exact. Now, if I can take and take queen takes e3, what's going to be the follow-up to that? Knight f6, king h8. That's a lot of pawns, first of all. And the problem is not even the pawns, but that the queen can't really come out. Can't come out and play that much. King h8 was what I had in mind, but maybe queen a1 now. Jesus. Yeah, this is this is a bit weird what I did. Okay, now knight f5. Wow. Yeah, this is maybe a little bit too optimistic the way I played it, but still doesn't look too bad. Queen d4 is my idea on any knight check, and white's king is in such jeopardy that it's not easy to improve and really make any move. You could kind of figure out what white wants to do, but of course still there are issues here. Okay, well, this is going to be tough for white, I think, to defend. Knight c2. Maybe I should just move my... Should I play knight c2, king, 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 king? Knight c2, king. Scary, because I definitely don't want this to become a draw somehow. Yeah. No way am I exchanging these guys. Good question. King, I guess I should go here. Yeah, because this knight can't really deal with this king by itself. Okay, now knight, king, and now knight, and now here, and take. And really there's no move here for white anymore. Yeah, I can just take this baby and queen the other one. Okay, let's see if we can make another game here, but basically let's take a look at what happened. Early on, I think white made the mistake to allow me to go knight f5. I think here e4 was very important to play. And after knight d2, I played knight f5, takes, castles back, rook c1, a5. Now I've tried this knight h4, but okay, then I decided it's not worth it, and I played for the gradual improvement of my forces. And now I started this attack. Now the attack on the king side has to be started in balance with the rest of the position, which is what I did. That's why I was developing. Now I played this funny move rook d8 because I didn't want the light squared bishops to be exchanged. I really don't like to exchange those bishops because I use that bishop to attack the king side. So on bishop a4 I was playing bishop c8. So I changed the plan, place for b4, that's fine. And now g4 takes king h1 rather, h4. Okay, well, and then I started this really strong attack. Okay, this will be the last game. Hopefully I will still maintain my perfect score for the night. That would be a record that I think did once before, so that would be nice. T. Buron, international master, 2500, and I made it above 2600. Okay, back to the coconut juice. I'm threatening pawn takes pawn and knight b5 in some variations, so black has to be careful. Yeah, something like that. Okay, h6. Okay, well, I'm gonna play h3 too. Yeah, I also like my bishop. Okay, now I'm gonna play bishop e2, castle, and take this guy. And knight e5. I've played this game, similar game, I think same position against one grandmaster in a tournament recently, and I got a pretty good feeling about this. Yep. And knight d3 here. Wow, okay. Let's move my bishop away here. And move my knight to f4. That was my idea. Okay. Scary. I gotta go for b3 now, right? I gotta kick that knight away. That knight looks very dangerous. But maybe black is a little bit overextended. Let's see. Kick that knight and bring that knight back to d3. All these new found weaknesses have occurred. Right, let's say okay, let's say rook d1 for now. Now let's grab that bishop and go back to c1. Back to c1 where the weak pawns live. Okay, I have another knight. I do have another knight to use on this pawn. I just have to get it to the right square. Now, what would be a good transit square? d3, huh? Okay, let's start moving it. Let's go. Okay, so queen c2, let's say, knight f4, and knight d3, right? I did say I had another knight. I just had to get the knight to the right square. d3 is the square. I was just looking how to do it quickly enough. So very complicated middle game, but I'm still in it. Okay, now a4 is a weakness, so maybe okay, now he wants to go knight h4 in some positions. Maybe I should play g3, maybe not. Maybe I should just play queen c5 and knight b4, something very direct. Let's try it. Knight b4, knight h4, what if I play queen b6, knight h4, bishop e2, alright, let's try this. Just threatening to take the pawn, but not moving my knight too far away. So I can even play knight e1 on knight h4. Okay, now rook fd1, knight h4, knight e1. How about that? That's interesting. The c6 and a6 pawns are hanging. I did my little prophylactic dance. And where's black's counterplay? Okay, but a6 is hanging, so I'm gonna take that one. That's something I ate. That's some breakfast I ate. Okay, now g4. Okay, g4 is not such a big deal. So I can move my bishop away. Now maybe knight f3. Knight f2 is in there too. Knight f2. Or maybe knight d3. And at some point knight e5 is possible. So have to be careful that the tactics work out. Well, got black thinking. That's nice. Okay, don't know how that works. Rook c6. Rook c6. Maybe just bishop b5, huh? Oh, he wants to play queen g3 and it's mate after that. That's the thing. Okay, so I gotta go bishop f1. It's no laughing matter otherwise. Knight f3 is mate. Okay. Rook d3 is in the air to protect myself. Where's the mate? Okay, grab this one and defend with rook c2, I think. Yes. And even queen, now rook d3, right? Well, I have to just protect. Okay, rook d3 is fine. Okay, now it's a time thing, right? So time thinks I'm up a piece for 1 pawn. That's nice. Let's get the e file. Okay, let's now let's play okay, I don't know what to do. Let's go here. And now let's just check this guy. I don't want the queens on the board. I'm really I'm really thinking no queens, and Dlugy wins. Okay, 16 seconds, and this is nice. Let's get out of there. Oops, that was a blunder of sorts, not a complete blunder. Amazing how the guy is still living around here. King and pawn ending, excellent. And I won on tap because I didn't really want to win on the board, that's why. Okay, this is a really tough game, and commenting on this would be would make a book. But a6 is a good move, but and then I was slightly better basically the whole way through until some interesting stuff happened. Around here it became a little tough to figure out. Maybe okay, I mean, but it proceeded according to plan, except here I don't think black should have exchanged those bishops. It seemed a little bit like the bishops should have stayed, and I think here white's already clearly better because I have a very simple plan. I'm just going to put my knight on d3, and I did it. And basically I have a plan while black has tactics of some sort, which usually should not work. And I snapped one pawn off, and then I started defending, and then my opponent decided to just jettison everything, but I have defenses here, and of course the only threat here is knight f3 check followed by queen h2 check, but I had just simple defenses here, and then of course it got to this tough time situation where I had half a minute against 17 seconds, but because I can't actually hear my opponent's move, it is tougher. So I just tried to exchange a lot of pieces, but started blundering. But okay, here already 13-6, and we have a reasonable chances to win on time, 7-3, and I just started pre-moving, and that was good enough to finish it off. Now position is drawn, I guess. King and pawn ending looks very drawn, but such is life. So perfect score for me today. Come back, take it to the Max show, beat me up, so I don't feel like a self-confident type of guy. All right. This is Grandmaster Max Dlugy. We'll take it to the Max show, and all the best to you guys, and good luck in the World Open if you're playing there next week. Bye bye.